My name is John Watts, and today I want to talk about is it okay, is it legal, is it proper for a debt collector to leave a voicemail message for you? Now, that could be on your cell phone, on your home phone, could be on an answering machine. Is that legal? Well, like a lot of things, it depends. So let's take a couple of approaches here to get to the answer to this question. The very first is any debt collector that leaves you any voicemail message, they must identify themselves as a debt collector. They must say, hey, look, I'm a debt collector. This is an attempt to collect a debt. If they do not do that, and that's sometimes called the mini, like the miniature Miranda. You know, like you see in the police shows, somebody's arrested, they say, let me read you your Miranda rights. Well, there's something similar with debt collectors. It's much shorter, but they have to leave that on any message to you. And if they do not do that, they violated the law. Now, another way that they violate the law is they may leave a message for you, and they may definitely identify themselves. They say, hey, look, we're a debt collector. We're trying to collect a debt. But they leave that on an answering machine or a voicemail that's not just yours or your spouse. Maybe you have roommates. Maybe as the message is left, it plays out loud. That typically are sort of the older type answering machines. We've had cases like that where maybe you have a friend over or there's a caregiver that's over. And while that person is there, there's a call that comes in and it plays out loud and it says, hey, this is Joe Blow with XYZ debt collector. We're trying to collect a debt. Well, if the other person, again, not your spouse, but somebody else overhears that, then that normally is what's called a third-party disclosure. So a debt collector cannot let anybody other than you or your spouse know that you owe a debt. And so that may be a violation of the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. Now, another type of violation is not so much, strictly speaking, just the voicemail, but it's the TCPA, Telephone Consumer Protection Act. And what this law basically says is that a debt collector that's calling your cell phone, they better have permission to call your cell phone. Either you gave the debt collector permission or you gave the original creditor permission. And we're not going to get into all the details about what exactly is permission, when you have to give it. But any call, any voicemail that is what's called a pre-recorded message, and you've gotten these where you listen to your phone and it says, this message is for John Watts. If you are not John Watts or whoever it may be, then, so they're just filling in your name with a computer is speaking it. Or it could be a person, but it's kind of like a fill in the blank form and they've just plugged your name in. Or even if it's not a voicemail, but a debt collector is using a computer, what we call an auto dialer, a predictive dialer, a robo dialer, computer dialer, to call your cell phone. If they don't have the proper permission to do that, then that can be $500 per call. And it can actually be as much as $1,500 per call. So when you start thinking about it, you got a debt collector's calling you 3, 4, 5 times a day. That could be hundreds, thousands of dollars a day in damages that debt collector owes you. So going back to our question, is it illegal for a debt collector to call you, leave a voicemail? Well, it depends. Sometimes it's not illegal and sometimes it is illegal. So how do you know the difference? Well, my suggestion is document everything. Document the call. If you have a cell phone, take a screenshot of it. If you have, a landline, pull up the caller ID on it, take a picture of it. Document it in a notebook. And then save that voicemail. So if it's on your cell phone, just make sure you save it. Transfer it to your computer. Maybe a friend of yours has a smartphone. play your message out loud, have them record it, and then email it to you. So you got it on your phone, but you also have it in email, particularly if you have, say, a Yahoo or Gmail account where it's going to be kind of stored up in the cloud so that if your computer dies, your phone dies, you haven't lost that voicemail message. And then ultimately have a lawyer look at that. Now, if you're in Alabama, I'll be happy to do that. You can reach us. Our main number is 205-879-2447. And we have an office in Birmingham as well as Madison, Alabama. And you can contact us through our main website, alabamaconsumer.com. Let us know what your question is, and we'll be glad to help you.